So I already took a note of it that basically it's a little bit visionary because what I'm describing, because I'm actually describing a mature product, an imagined mature product. Let's start with the first part from initial setup. I tried out Flux in the past weeks and I loved its approach that from a single CLI, well, two steps, grab a GitLab token and then run a single CLI command. And that command installs Flux in the cluster, creates a GitLab repo, and sets up that GitLab repo to update the cluster. And you can run this command any number of times. This is the same command for upgrades and everything. So they made it, I don't get the word now. Anyway, so it's a very nice experience that seems to be very stable as well. Now, what I have in my mind is that we decide which Flux version we want our users to have. We decide which Flux version we want to use in order to avoid the pitfalls of GitLab managed apps. So basically, GitLab manages the Flux installation. The agent installation manages Flux installation as well. This is likely not the MVC, but this is what I have in my mind for the longer term. How we do it, that's up to be discussed, but this is what I have in my mind. And that's part of that initial setup. Now, this level of initial setup doesn't exist with the agent either, so likely that needs to be estimated too. How to do this? Now we have the GitLab CLI. Very likely we can extend that to include an agent installation in a similar fashion. Here, just yesterday we discussed with Target, it might worth looking into the Flux CLI code, how they make sure that they can run, that someone can run the same command several times and it won't break anything, and the same command does the upgrade. So it might be worth checking whether it's just a CRD update or something more evolved. This might be useful both for the agent, for our own approach, and for the Flux-based approach. So this is the initial setup. The other part that I mentioned here, that setting up authorizations managed by GitLab, I think one of the strengths of our current solution is that the GitLab managed, that the agent configuration specifies where it wants to access manifest, and our plan on the multiple manifest project access basically keeps authorizations within GitLab. So it's not something that you create a deploy token and then you have to manage those deploy tokens. You have to be able to report around those deploy tokens, and those deploy tokens are spread all around GitLab. And it's really hard to be compliant and have an understanding of actually who will have access, what projects or cluster will be able to access. Instead, in our solution, there's a central entry to this management, the agent configuration, and the other side that authorizes those as well. So having that authorization managed by GitLab is, I think, a really valuable feature that can differentiate us. A really minor note, just to help you understanding what I mean. I think on the second tech discovery call, Hordur spoke about writing a custom source controller for GitLab, and that included, and that was a response to this approach to keep authorizations within GitLab. And then basically all the authorizations, like getting containers, getting the manifest from a Git repo, could be handled through CAS and through the agent tunnel, and not other requests that reach GitLab. So that's my idea there, what I mean by integrating Flux for initial setup to authorizations. Does it make sense this way to you, Mikhail?
Yeah.
And why are you smiling? We will never get there. That's the idea.
Well, I don't know if we will get there or not.
Is it meaningful to you what I said, or you would rather focus on other things?
Well, I don't know how to compare, because it's like comparing. I don't know, it's just difficult to compare things that are so vague, and
Yeah.
you don't know what people would like actually. So
I agree that it's difficult to compare. I think the easier part is the installation, like whether to keep the installation closer to GitLab or keep it separate from GitLab.
well, if it's integrated, then a lot of the logic is, well, I guess then the agent manages the deployment of there's like I don't see what else you can do. You can't use it as a library, basically. It's not going to work correctly.
Yeah. I don't know whether the agent would manage deployment or the CLI, like in Flux case. Because I mean, even today there is a CLI command ham apply when you want to install the agent. So it's anyway, that's what you mean that the agent manages the deployment.
Well, you said that it needs to be the thing that installs, or it has to be integrated and not a
Yeah.
separate thing that the user manages. I understand that as you're saying that agent would need to install Flux and manage it.
I said it installs together with the agent. So like how it happens, I don't know. But that it would set up the whole GitLab integration at once. And and preferably it wouldn't be from the Flux docs, but I mean that might work as well. Just nicer, I think, if we have the GitLab docs as well, describing how to set up our GitOps solution. Are there any, I don't know, questions or comments to what I shared more than what you just said?
Well, I can only, I don't know, repeat what I said before. I think that such integration would be clunky. It would not allow us to really provide a, seamless experience where everything just works the way we really want it to work. Integrating on the library level is definitely much more flexible than integrating on the Flux's API level.
I think that's what the Flux part of the investigation is supposed to discuss. Yeah. Cool. Then I will, if you want, feel free to stop the recording.